Hello, my name is Ilona, and I just want to take a look at the case Roe versus Wade. I did a video this morning and there were some questions. So I'm just going to dig in a little deeper and just tell you how I see things and see if it resonates with you or not. First of all, this was really another case, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. This was against the health officer in Mississippi at that time, Dobbs, and it was about a bill that Governor Phil Bryant signed on March 19th, 2018, which means that a certain procedure couldn't be done after 15 weeks. And if it was after 15 weeks, it had to have a medical reason, otherwise it was not possible to do that. Well, this kind of went against Roe versus Wade. And Roe versus Wade was a case from, I think, 1973 or around that time. And this is about where the Supreme Court decided that it is a constitutional right to perform this procedure. So states are not allowed to say anything about that. They are not allowed to put in certain weeks. They were not allowed to say anything about that or make any policies about that. That's why you have all these clinics, Planned Parenthood, all over America in all kinds of states, because they were not capable of doing anything against that. So they had to, because it was a constitutional right, had to conform to that. So they had to make it available. Well, they decided Friday, the Supreme Court, that the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, that it is allowed for Mississippi to have this procedure done at 15 weeks, and it's not going against Roe versus Wade. But Roe versus Wade, they've taken another look at it and they've decided to overturn this. So from now on, it is not a constitutional right anymore, which means that the states, like Mississippi, have the right to make a decision about the procedure. Like they made about the 15 weeks. Mississippi has that right to, maybe they're going to be stricter now, I don't know, but they have the right to make policies. So Texas and other states, mainly Republican states, immediately decided this is an illegal procedure, except in, I think in Texas, if there is a medical reason, then you are allowed to perform this procedure, but otherwise there are no excuses or anything, there are no options otherwise. So it's only possible to do this procedure if there is a medical reason for it. So this, of course, is interesting. In a way, there were people responding to me like, well, they still got those 15 weeks in Mississippi, and I understand that, but you have to look at a bigger picture. At least that's what I'm trying to see, and that's how I see things and feel things, and see if that fits with you or resonates with you. But by overturning this, the Supreme Court have given the power back to the states. So like I said, the Republican states finally could make laws about that. So in a lot of Republican states, they probably made it illegal as soon as possible. Some Democratic states, they will probably be very lenient. But in a way, it's important to understand that, of course, that's what they say. This is about the right of a woman, to make a decision about her body. But the dark energy is just using that as a cover. To them, this is not about the rights of women at all. They don't care about women. I'll get into that after this, but they just want to have these clinics. They just want to get their hands on the materials for their rituals, for trading, for substances. They use that in their, especially in a lot of, usually it's already life. So if you do this procedure, it's already alive. It already has energy. It has a life energy. So to the death cults, this is a sacrifice. And they can use parts of what comes out, which is just for them a win-win situation. How awful this may sound. This is horrific. That's what this is about. This is about making money so they can pay for the campaigns of certain Democrats because they've if I'm not mistaken, Planned Parenthood, well, like I said in the video, usually spend a lot of money on Democratic campaigns for these political people to come forward to support them, obviously. So that's what this is really about. And of course I got questions like, well, what about the right of women? If they cannot do that procedure anymore, what about women that gotten pregnant against their will? Maybe even the physical things, they were forced. What about that? Well, first of all, like I've mentioned in Texas, there is an exception that is medical. So if a mother is threatened by the life, or it's not going to work out well, or there's something wrong with the fetus, they have the right to perform a procedure. But the other things, and I fully understand, if something happens forcefully against your will and you turn out pregnant, we have to look a little bit back at how did this start? How did this happen that women are treated that way? There's so much anger and physical force against women. Well, that's because the dark energies try to suppress the feminine in us by suppressing females. That's how they got control. That's how they started to manipulate us. That's how they infiltrated us, by trying to suppress the feminine. And females were, of course, the how do you say that? The personification of the feminine. So they start suppressing them in religion. If you can just see, females had no rights at all for centuries. Females were seen as property that you can just use and abuse and do whatever you want with this. Because of creating this disbalance, men were not allowed to show their feminine energies as well. So they were suppressed in a way as well. So they got very hard. They had to not be weak, not show their emotions. They had to be tough. They had to make it. So in this world, and that was stimulated by the dark energies, and especially the lower energies of lust and greed and domination. That's what they wanted to create. So they really, how do you say that, emphasize that. So the things are happening now today still with women and how they're treated and being forced. That has to do with the dark energies screwing around with our energies. So they created this problem to begin with, and their solution is these clinics and these procedures, because that's what they actually want, so they can get their hands on other things. The Great Awakening is about stepping into our powers, about balancing the feminine and the masculine. Both are so important, and if we balance that, we don't want to force ourselves onto someone else. We understand that we're all one, we are all connected. So why would we do that? Why would we want to dominate? Why would we want to fight with another? Why would we force ourselves onto someone else? That's so important to understand. We are now changing that, so that procedure won't be necessary at all. And especially if you're really connected with your body, you will decide ultimately what's going to happen if you want to receive a child or not. In Atlantis and in Lemuria, especially in the beginning, we were the ones making the decisions. You couldn't just get pregnant against your will. You were making a conscious choice to receive. And we will return back, especially if we become sovereign and we just started deciding what's going to happen with our energies. We will also decide if we want to receive or not. And balancing everything out, we don't have to be afraid that we're going to be forced against our will, because that's dark energy and we're moving away from that. So that's why I think this is so important. It kind of it's how do you say, a blow against, of course, the dark energies in America, because they're losing money, they're losing their trades, they're losing ground. And that's the most important part about this. And it is about restoring how sacred life is. Life is sacred. Life just in the womb, in the woman, in the womb, is already sacred. It's beautiful. It's like new. It's magnificent. It's something magical, and we should look at it that way. it's so important. It's almost like we see it like we can just toss it away, like it's not important. And we need to start respecting ourselves and respecting life and everything around us. It's really about returning to the gratefulness of existing and seeing the sacredness of life. So to me, this is so much bigger. So that's why I see this as extremely positive. So I hope I kind of explained myself here. I hope to see you in another video. Bye.